This is the Syros. It's not named after me. It's a new mass market Kia SUV and it looks like nothing else that Kia makes in the mass market segment. By the way, this is also a perfect example of why you should never judge a book by its cover.
We run it, run it. We run it, run it.
That's because you should consider it because of how good the interiors are. No, this is not the conclusion. This is not the end of the video. You will have to stay tuned to know why I just gave it all away. But before that, it's time for a bit of a monologue. And before the monologue, I want to say this. We have just hit 3 million subscribers on the PowerDrift YouTube channel and 1 billion views. 1 billion views. And it's all because of you guys. We love you all from the bottom of our heart. Thank you always for watching and supporting us. But now, time to move on with the video and time for that monologue.
You know who came to run the show. You know who came to bring that flow.
We have something in the Indian car scene that is very unique to our country, the sub 4 meter rule. This rule essentially was a tax exemption done hoping it would declutter Indian car offerings, would make cars smaller, dissuade people from buying larger cars. Has it worked well? Well, you could say that, but now we've noticed new subsections opening up in the sub 4 meter SUV segment. Entry-level sub 4 meter compacts like the Nissan Magnite, Hyundai Venue, Maruti Brezza, Tata Nexon, and this is going to open up a brand new segment, a premium sub 4 meter subcompact SUV segment.
Come on.
So this new segment will still have the tax incentives, but this Kia will be the most expensive sub 4 meter subcompact SUV in India, we think.
NASCAR, breakfast on my track star, roll out, rushing.
And for that sort of a premium, it better have some great things going for it. Not just size. Cue the interior.
Turn up the music.
This is one of those few cars in the world where I'd rather be in the back seat than be driving up front. Let me explain simple 3-part explanation, okay? 1. Look at the amount of space there is here in the back. It is huge. For a sub 4 meter subcompact SUV, this thing is gigantic inside. It's also really airy. I have the sun blinds up right now, but if you have them down, even though the B-pillar is massively thick, you still have a very airy window line. And you've got this giant panoramic sunroof, which again adds to sort of airiness overall in the cabin. Number 2, and very important, this one, the seat reclines. And that for me is a very important feature because I like a more comfortable seat, period, when I'm in the back. And number 3, it has cool seats for the rear passengers, which means this car has truly been designed by Kia with the rear seat passengers in mind. And now I shall magically transport myself to the front seat. Let's talk about fit, finish and design, okay? Fit and finish, much more premium than what you get on normal sub 4 meter SUVs. In fact, it is more premium in my opinion than even the Seltos, and that is saying something. That's really saying something. There are also some really good materials used, like this little plastic here, and the plastic on the cup holders is recycled sort of speckled plastic like you get on those recycled soles for shoes, for example. And even the color palette in general. I thought grey was boring, grey was passé, but the way Kia has done this truly is very well done. Even the materials in general, leather, stuff like that, the seat material, even the top material on the seat, the grey, just nice and well sorted. Also, it has not 2 screens, but 3 screens now. You've got the infotainment, which is here. It's all in a big black panel, so you can't really make out. We'll put a cutaway of it, but you've got the sort of infotainment on the left here. You've got the instrument cluster, the digital instrument cluster here. And then you've got an air conditioning screen or a sort of climate control screen in the middle, like a little small 5-inch, almost like a little smartphone screen in the middle there. The good thing though is the fact that even though it has a screen, you can adjust stuff from it. The main things that you need, your climate control temperature and your climate control fan speed, are all still manual buttons. That, as a combination, works, and that's how it should be done. It's not just premium materials though, there are also some really well thought out touches all over the car. Like this little tiny tray that exists. This is the smallest passenger I think I've ever seen in my life. And honestly, even if Kia did never put this in, nobody would have cared, nobody would have minded. But it's a nice little touch because even though when you do recline your seat all the way to the back and this space right here becomes sort of useless, what if you do want to put a packet of chocolates at the back. You do need a tray, right? Thoughtful stuff, Kia. Thoughtful stuff. For on-demand performance from SUVs like the Syros, Castrol Edge SUV engine oil claims 80% improved high-load performance. This advanced full synthetic oil is BS6 ready and allows for superior performance and better acceleration. Now, when we did the quickies video with this car, I noticed an interesting trend. I read through all your comments like I always do, and I realized there is no middle ground. People either love it or people hate it. And that's the thing with good design. Good design should be polarizing. If it is too safe, too conventional, everybody usually likes it. If it's completely haywire and people hate it, well, something's clearly gone wrong. In this case, polarizing is good. Polarizing for mass market cars is always nice. You never should have a design that's boring. And by the way, I do like this tall boy sort of stance because overall this car actually looks a lot larger than what it looks. And in India, as we know, larger works. The Alto and the Wagoner were not much different in terms of size, but the height made the Wagoner seem much larger. Similarly, this being as tall as the Seltos makes it appear much larger. That said, there are a couple of flaws that I think will be very obvious once people start actually using this car, like the headlamp on the absolute corners. So is the tail lamp. You might need some very heavy-duty PPF to avoid all those scratches that happen very often in Indian parking lots, or maybe you can just drive a little more carefully. But in general, this is a bit of a bad design trend. Also, talking about bad design trends, I know Kia is on a bit of a Saab thing with their wheels. 3-spoke, junky, 80s retro design, and maybe this works with the car. The overall stance of it, maybe it does. But for me personally, I mean, sorry, but it just doesn't work for me.
A little party never killed nobody. Reality moves, move. A little party never killed nobody. Shuffle like this.
We live in an era and an age where getting the engine and gearbox that you want in a car that you like isn't necessarily always the case. So when Kia, or the Hyundai group in general, decides to give you both a petrol and a diesel and a manual and an automatic on both engine options, we should welcome it with open arms. And honestly, I do. I like this combination the most. This is the diesel automatic. We've got a Sonnet diesel automatic long turbo that Kia has lent us for a few months in the PowerDrift office. We use it for production use, and that gives you phenomenal fuel efficiency. This also will give you phenomenal fuel efficiency, about 20 kilometers per liter or so. And the crazy figure when you do fill that tank up is that range figure on the dashboard. Sometimes it is in 4 digits, which is crazy. But even 900 kilometers of range in any car is just spectacular. It's frankly great to drive a diesel in an age where they are vanishing as quickly as people's morals, especially when you get crazy fuel economy figures like the ones you see on screen. This is also not a car for people who get bicked up by phrases like handles like it's on rails, tuned up to 11, blisteringly quick, etc. Though the Syros is not sporty, it has no sporting credentials, it has no sporting pretensions, it doesn't claim to be something it is not. It is not some cladded up red accented SUV with matte paint that is giving you an illusion of being a hot hatch when it isn't. It does exactly what it is meant to do, which is essentially take you and your family from one place to another place in relative comfort. But does it really do that? Does the ride and handling support that phenomenal back seat? It is actually a bit of a mixed bag. In the city, some might find the Syros to be on the stiffer side and not necessarily a good sort of stiff, like a stiff drink or a... You get my point, right? Over rumble strips, small potholes and generally bad roads, the ride does get a little stiffer than expected and a little bit unsettling. While on the highways, especially at very high speeds, it is a little too soft. It's especially noticeable when you go over these random bumps and undulations on our new expressways, which seem to have popped up almost everywhere. And that might trigger people in the back seat giving you advice on how you should drive your car and how you should not drive your car. Which means, yes, if you take this for a long distance trip, you will get people doing backseat driving in this. There is another thing that adds to a level of comfort that no one ever talks about, the NVH levels. And the Syros has some of the best in any small car. I expected wing noise from the big wing mirrors. There is none. We expected general swooshing noises, whooshing noises, and general wind noises from the slab-sided front end. Also, Again, none. And when you do longer journeys, a quieter car really helps. And that is my conclusion. This car does not try to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. It is the jack of many trades, yes, but it is the master of one. It's the master of doing comfort seamlessly. Honestly, the rear seat is by far the best in class, if not the best in a class above, which is saying a lot. It is comfortable in general if you are at sort of mediocre speeds or medium speeds and not going too fast. And overall, as I mentioned, again, this is just a great bloody package. Is this then going to be the best sub 20 lakh rupee car in the market? Some might argue there are some cars that do this better. Some might argue that this isn't sporty enough for them. And they might be right. For their use case, it might not be. But for most people, for the majority of people who ask us queries, for the majority of people who drive their cars as tools of mobility, I think this would be the best one to get. And that's actually a bit of a revelation. Okay, time for our unscripted section. I hope you liked the rest of the video and I hope you've sort of subscribed to our channel. If you've not yet, do that. And of course, go to the comment section and say what you think of it. But time for our unscripted section, but I point out sort of things where I think are different and I think sort of deserve a mention, which I not necessarily would sort of mention in the full video, the normal video, right? Small thing about the cup holders, I like the fact that it doubles up as a cubby hole. You can sort of adjust the cup holder to sort of shut away. Again, that material, that speckled material, that sort of recycled material that's used is great. I also like the fact that we are shooting this in Gurgaon, just outside Gurgaon, and we've got a air filter, air purifier. Now the last gen or the Sonnet and the Seltos also have had it, but just an addition to the car to just make your interiors a little nicer in terms of AQI is always good. Again, I'm just going to reiterate that AC thing. I think it's a very well thought of thing. You have a separate screen that does only your climate control. It sort of has a nice big display, so you know exactly what your temperature is, what your fan speed is, but you still have manual buttons. That's great. Other thing I really want to talk about is the sort of new steering wheel that Kia has now in their cars. Everything is on your fingertips, so everything is nice and sort of easy to the touch. This is a diesel automatic, still gets paddle shifters, also a nice touch. And even the ADAS functions are now just better tuned as compared to what they were. I'm sure, 100% sure that they've made changes to the way the ADAS suite functions in this car as compared to the Sonnet or the Seltos, because it works better. The sort of the cruise control, the cruise control with the distance sensing thing works better. You know, you can have it at 4 different levels, 4, 3, 2, 1, depending on how close to the car in front of you want to have your car too. Lane keep assist works better. Just overall, this car is well thought out. This car is for the thinking man. It might not be a nice looking car in the purest of senses, but it's a thinking man's product. It's spacious. It's like a cube. It's got diesel engines, petrol engines, manual gearboxes, automatic gearboxes, everything that you really need. Every tick that needs to be ticked has been ticked off by Kia. Frankly, they've got about 10,000-12,000 bookings by the time we've done this video. That's what they've said yesterday. This car genuinely deserves a lot more. Okay. Now, yes, this is going to be a little more expensive. I think it's going to be about 20 lakh rupees on road, which makes it by far the most expensive sub 4 meter subcompact SUV in the market today. But again, there are people who are okay giving more money. And there are a lot of people who come with this same question. I want to buy a car for 20 lakhs. What should I get? They can't stretch it to the Seltos, which is almost 24, 25 lakh rupees. But they don't want to buy a Sonnet, which is about 17, 18 lakh rupees. This fits perfectly in the middle. They are doing a Maruti now. Maruti has had cars at small intervals for people with different tastes, different budget points. That's exactly what Kia is doing with this. I frankly love the car. The way it looks also is something that's nice. I would only change the wheels and then it would be sort of a nice little city runabout, highway runabout, whatever type of runabout that you need. Fine, there you have it. That's the end of our unscripted section. That's the end of our video. Tell me in the comment section what you think of the car. Again, it is a car that will sort of divide opinion on the way it looks. But frankly, on the inside, this is nearly faultless. It's a very good product. I just want to end it at that. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the comment section niche.